tunnel walk has become one of the most electrifying entrances in college football. They just touched the lucky horseshoe that was found on this site as they were building the stadium, and now the team making their way through the bowels of Memorial Stadium. Crowd ready to erupt. It is the 88th meeting of the Battle of the Big Reds, and for the call, we hand it over to Joel Klatt and Gus Johnson.
Tom Osborne Field at Memorial Stadium. Big Noon Saturday is sponsored by AT&T Business. We've got a historic rivalry for you today as the 6th-ranked team in the nation, the Oklahoma Sooners, come in to take on the Nebraska Cornhuskers. Hi, everybody. I'm Gus Johnson along with my quarterback, Joel Klatt, and welcome to Lincoln. Folks, on Sunday, Nebraska had to make a move against one of their favorite sons. Scott Frost was fired. In comes Mickey Joseph. He's expected to deliver some kind of spark as the interim coach, and you know these kids are going to play hard.
You know they will. And listen, no one wanted to be in this position in the Nebraska world. Scott Frost came in, and Gus, you remember how high he was on the mountaintop back after that undefeated season with UCF, but it just didn't materialize here at Nebraska, in part due to all those one-score losses. So Mickey Joseph is now at the helm at his alma mater, a guy that understands that if he wants to turn this around in this season, they've got to get more physical and they've got to get more detail-oriented. How do you do that? With the run game. Anthony Grant is a guy who has transferred in here from New Mexico Military Institute and has played beautifully at the running back position. A powerful, physical running back. All 3 games this season, 100-yard games. I expect a heavy dose of Anthony Grant early in this ballgame.
All right, for Oklahoma, they've been experiencing a season of change as well. Lincoln Riley took his talents to Hollywood, and he's with USC. And in comes Brent Venables, and this is the kind of job that he has been longing for and will have for the rest of his career if he can do it.
If he can stay the course at Oklahoma, there's no doubt. And he's been rising up in the ranks ever since he was at Oklahoma. And how about the tenure he's had at Clemson? This guy is one of the best assistant coaches, one of the best defensive coordinators in college football, and now he's got his dream job. He waited for this specific opportunity, hired at Oklahoma, and now he's charged with keeping them on the rails. 2 questions about OU. Can they improve their defense? Can they maintain their explosiveness on the offensive side? Well, he's got to fix the defense, so who does that leave on the offensive side? Bring in a transfer, Dylan Gabriel. This guy is perfectly suited to run this offense specifically. Silky smooth, great disposition, and if he's got time in the pocket today, Marvin Mims down the field could have a huge day.
All right, time now to join the 3rd member of our team on the sideline, the All-American girl, Jenny Taft.
Well, you guys have briefly touched on it, but what a week it has been for Nebraska and Mickey Joseph. Joseph even admitting to me yesterday he has not been sleeping well, but quickly clarified that this is not about him. This is about the players. And once the decision was made to part ways with Scott Frost, he wanted to bring the players together, keep them away from social media on Sunday, make sure they knew that this decision had nothing to do with them and they were going to be okay. Mickey has a plan for Nebraska. It's getting back to the basics. It's practicing fast, tackling, making sure that everyone remembers Nebraska football was built on physicality. But this has been emotional for the players. Captain Garrett Nelson admitting that there have been some highs, but there have been a lot of lows throughout these last couple years. But he told us the worst that could happen to this team, it already happened. We have nothing to lose than to get out there, play for each other, play for our teammates, and leave it all on the field.
All right, Jenny, thank you very much. Rained earlier today, folks. Also had some lightning, but right now 68 degrees at kickoff time. Nebraska won the toss, deferred. Oklahoma will receive. A series that dates back to 1912. These two teams played in the game of the century. Brendan Franke will kick it off. Billy Bowman is the deep man for OU. Nebraska, Oklahoma, and here we go from Lincoln. This one into the back of the end zone for a touchback. Brings on Dylan Gabriel, and you've been singing his praises all week, partner.
Well, I just really love what he brings to the table, obviously on the field, but off the field as well. Quality leader, has really assimilated into this culture at Oklahoma very fast. And one of the things that I'm expecting today is some more wrinkles out of this offense. They were very basic in their opening 2 wins. UTEP and Kent State started slow last week. I expect some fireworks here early.
So first down and 10 at the 25, and they'll run it. Eric Gray on first down. Let's take a look at the starting lineups. We'll start with the #1 offense for Oklahoma.
Well, this offensive line, they think that they can be great. I think Jeff Lebby is going to want to run the football. It's going to be Eric Gray early.
Gray again running over the left side. He'll pick up a first down and more as he gets to the 40.
Well, defensively, Gus, Nebraska has given up a ton of yards. In fact, the reason they're in this 1-2 predicament is because the defense has not played well. They've got to improve today.
Gabriel standing in the pocket now, bounces around and finally tracked down and taken down. Nicely done. This is Luke Reimer, and that's a loss of 4 yards.
Great coverage from that secondary. It's a young secondary. They gave up 400 yards passing to Georgia Southern a week ago, but their great coverage allows the rush to get home.
Second down and 14, opening series for OU. They'll stay on the ground. It's Gray once again. He's stacked up. First man to him, Marquise Buford.
This crowd is the most supportive fan base in America. If they get this stop, Gus, this place is going to go bananas.
Third down and 12. Gabriel out of the shotgun from the 38. This crowd here at Memorial roaring. Gabriel looks to the sideline, incomplete. And Nebraska will get off the field.
That's exactly what Mickey Joseph needed. A fast series from this defense, which has not played well during the course of this season so far. But Joseph gets what he wants. A defense that went out there and played fast and, more importantly, got to the quarterback on the opening series of the game.
Michael Turk will punt it away from his own 24-yard line. Trey Palmer, the deep man for Nebraska, over to the sideline, signals for the fair catch, and has it at the 22. So that's going to bring on Casey Thompson, the Texas transfer, who's been putting up some gaudy numbers despite the 2 losses.
Well, this guy can play, and he understands football. He's had so many different coaches and offensive coordinators, and this marriage between he and Mickey Joseph and Mark Whipple is something that he specifically came here for. 3 rush touchdowns a week ago, and this offense has been able to move the football. And again, between Thompson and Anthony Grant, their running back, they've been very effective so far this season.
Had a career-high 3 rushing touchdowns against Georgia Southern last week. First and 10 at the 23. And Thompson will throw it on first down, and it's a strike out to the far side. Alante Brown didn't want to go down. Looks like he picked up a first down as well in front of Woody Washington.
Gus, they're going to be without their starting left tackle today, Teddy Prohaska. So Turner Corcoran moves out to left tackle. Kevin Williams in at left guard. But they get a tight end back. Travis Vokalek, very good player. He's back. He's healthy. And watch out for these wide receivers on the outside.
On first down, he'll drop it into the flats. Nice catch. Trey Palmer turns it up with a first down. And he gets out of bounds at the 50.
Fast start for Nebraska, and this OU defense has played very well over the opening couple of weeks for Brent Venables, their new coach. They've got a lot of production behind the line of scrimmage, but they have not seen an offense like this Nebraska group.
First down and 10 at midfield. Opening series for the Cornhuskers. And they'll run it with plenty of room. Anthony Grant rumbling. Stumbling. Billy Bowman, Justin Broyles combining on the tackle, but that's an 11-yard gain.
These opening drives are so important for the confidence of Nebraska in this week specifically.
Out to the far side. Another catch. Palmer with room, and he'll lean forward to get close to that first down marker. Woody Washington brings him down.
Great block on the outside, but again, this pace that they're playing with, this is a perfect start for Nebraska. Good defensive series, and then now Gus, Casey Thompson coming out and just dishing on the perimeter. Great start.
Casey Thompson versus Oklahoma last year, 20 for 34, 388, 5 touchdowns, and a first down. Grant, Billy Bowman stops him. That's a gain of 3.
One of the things that Nebraska thinks that they have as an advantage is speed on the outside, and more specifically size. All the defensive backs for OU under 6 foot. All the wide receivers for Nebraska over 6 feet.
First down to the 27. And a whistle. Looks like a false start coming up.
Prior to the snap, false start, offense. Number 3, 5-yard penalty. Still first down.
David Alvarez is your referee today. And that penalty called on Trey Palmer, Jr. from Kentwood, Louisiana.
There's Mark Whipple, new offensive coordinator here for Nebraska, and you get the sense that he's got to feel some freedom here in this week, and we'll see what game plan he has.
Thompson winds up, goes deep, got a man! Touchdown! Big Red! Trey Palmer ran a great route, and Casey Thompson put the biscuit in the basket, 32 yards.
What a great move by Palmer. Watch as he's going to dip just to the right before he goes back to the post. It's this move right there that allows him to create the space. Right there, boom. He just goes a little bit to the left. Great space over the middle of the field. And Casey Thompson hits him perfectly in stride.
Extra point up and good. Longest play allowed by this OU defense this season. Trey Palmer with the touchdown. Big Red on top of OU. 7-0. Time for today's Game Flow, sponsored by Progressive. Memorial Stadium, Tom Osborne Field, one of the great rivalries in the history of college football. Nebraska, Oklahoma. Casey Thompson throws a dime. Trey Palmer, who had 6 catches for 81 yards last week, has a touchdown now. And the Cornhuskers with a 7-0 lead. For a chance to win $10,000, download the free-to-play Fox Bet Super 6 app now and pick 6 outcomes from today's Big Noon Saturday contest. Fox Bet Super 6 has given away over $6.5 million in cash prizes to date, and there are guaranteed winners every week. A lot of this money, folks, is coming out of Rob Stone's expense account.
Generous of Rob.
Good guy. He's got a lot of per diem, from what I understand.
Nice of him to share.
First and 10. At the 25 for Oklahoma. Sooners stay on the ground. This time it's Marcus Major. And we'll gain 2.
This defense, they do get their middle linebacker, Nick Henrich, back, and they felt like he was going to make a huge impact in their communication all day.
Second down and 8 at the 27. They'll fire out wide, and it's caught for a first down. Marvin Mims, who may be the most explosive player on offense for OU, gains 9.
Yeah, nice tackle by Quentin Newsom as well. Kind of held on to that foot, didn't allow Mims to break the tackle and get down the sideline.
First down at the 36. And this is Major. Major bottled up and dropped for a loss. Henrich, the linebacker, with the stop.
You know, and what his roommate and best friend Garrett Nelson, the defensive end, said is Henrich is like our computer out there. He gets everyone lined up. They feel like some of the mistakes that they've made over the last couple of weeks will be corrected because he's on the field.
Second down and 11. Misdirection here. And Mims caught, dragged backwards. Marvin Mims doesn't like it. Tommy Hill said, "Come here, big fella. You're going nowhere."
Well, tackling has been suspect for Nebraska during the course of the season, but so far, a couple of open field tackles, that one by Tommy Hill, and now here comes the crowd.
Cornhuskers with another opportunity to get off the field. 3rd down and 7 at the 39. Major in the backfield with Gabriel. Here's Gabriel. Steps up in the pocket, looking for the first down, has running room and more. Gabriel down the sideline. Burst of speed at the 20. Cuts it back. Dylan Gabriel, touchdown. OU. 61 yards.
He reminds me so much of all those fluid Hawaiian quarterbacks that come from the islands. It doesn't look like they're running fast, but man, such great body control. This is where I thought maybe he could have stepped out. It looks like, no, he stays in as he is fighting off the tackle of Luke Reimer, number 28. He stays in and he gets into the end zone. What a run and an answer from Dylan Gabriel. No panic in his game, just smoothly steps up in the pocket, down the sideline, and away he goes.
That's the longest play of the season for OU. Zach Schmidt comes in to attempt the extra point. And we are level at 7. Fireworks early here in Lincoln. Dylan Gabriel picking him up and putting him down. 7-7. Back to Lincoln after this. Big Noon Saturday is sponsored by Cadillac. Be iconic. And by Allstate, reminding you that football season is mayhem. The last time Oklahoma visited Nebraska was in 2009, and the Huskers came away with the win. It's the only time in the last 20 years that Nebraska has beaten Oklahoma. How about Dylan Gabriel, though? 2nd rushing touchdown of the year and 10th of his career. That was the longest rush of his career. He had a 44-yarder while at UCF last season.
Great blocking downfield. Those wide receivers turned around, covered up color, allowed Dylan Gabriel to scamper into the end zone.
Schmidt will send it away. Trey Palmer, who scored a touchdown, is back deep. This one angled toward the corner. Fans voted in Wendy's, and Fox College Football listened. You're looking at the Wendy's Viewers Choice Cam. Today's choice is the trenches. So go to CFB on Fox on Twitter to enjoy the alternative view for the rest of the game. And when you talk about the trenches and great offensive linemen, that was what Nebraska was known for under Coach Osborne.
Yeah, no doubt. Physical, fundamentally sound. That's something that their athletic director, Trev Alberts, wants to make a point of in their next hire, Gus, is he wants the identity of this team to be an identity that this fan base can be proud of.
First down, and they'll run it. Grant trying to get around the right side with the hurdle. And a first down. He'll gain 12. Danny Stutzman, closest man to him.
How about the up and over there on the sideline? And Stutzman, he's a guy that, you know, no pun intended, but he is a stud in the middle of that defense, number 28.
First down at the 37. Thompson guns it. Ball caught on the far side. Marcus Washington. Nice grab in front of Woody Washington.
Boy, he looks calm and collected in the pocket, but how about the pace that this offense is using? Quick tempo from Mark Whipple, the offensive coordinator against this Brent Venables defense at Oklahoma.
Second down and short at the 45-yard line. Here's the run. Grant strung out. Great job by the Oklahoma defense. Washington, first man to him.
And also a great job up front as well by Reggie Grimes, number 14. Gus, Reggie Grimes has burst on the scene this year so far. He's already got 4 sacks, and this is a defense from a schematic perspective that is all about production behind the line of scrimmage, and in particular in situations like this. Get after the quarterback, and Reggie Grimes has been the guy that has done it really well so far this year.
Third down and 4 for Nebraska. Here's Thompson. Underneath, incomplete. So the Oklahoma defense holds Washington the target.
They're trying to exploit this area here, but watch, Gus, right there, this wide receiver's got to come in and hook up rather than racing across the field. He goes across the field, and then the ball's behind him, but that's zone defense versus zone wide receivers. You got to get in that soft area, stop, and give your chest to the quarterback. Running across that zone just makes you covered. Casey Thompson threw it perfect.
Ryan Buschini, the punter. Marvin Mims, the deep man for OU. Mims with a fair catch at the 12. And that's where Dillon Gabriel and the offense will start for Oklahoma. 7 up from Lincoln.
Well, it is the new age of college football, folks, and this is the transfer portal whack-a-mole, right? So Caleb Williams, he's over at SC. So Dillon Gabriel, he's like, okay, I get tapped. I'm going to Oklahoma. Then Adrian Martinez, he lives in Nebraska. So Casey Thompson says, well, hey, I'm out of here. I'm going to go to Nebraska. And Quinn Ewers is like, whoa, there's a spot. Let's go over there. And all these guys trading places in college football. It is the wild, wild west.
I love that. Great graphic. First down at the 13-yard line. Gabriel trying to get outside, and he'll slide down close to the 20.
This offense is led by Jeff Levy, the offensive coordinator, coming back home, played at OU.
2nd and 6. Gabriel underneath and thrown a little bit high. Intended for Theo Weiss. And that brings up 3rd down and 6 at the 17-yard line.
Nebraska got caught in man coverage on that last 3rd down, which was what allowed Dillon Gabriel to run for the touchdown. So we'll see if they make an adjustment here.
3rd and 6 at the 17. Last 3rd down play, Gabriel went for 61 yards. Here's Gabriel, sets up the screen, thrown high, incomplete. He did have pressure in his face. Well done by the Cornhusker defense.
That's a big stop for them after that last series. They've had a couple of 3rd down chances. Gabriel made them pay. But as Gabriel sets up for the screen pass, watch the aggressiveness from the outside. And then looked like that was Mathis got up and maybe just got a tip on that ball, that left hand. And it drops incomplete, and Nebraska will get the ball back.
3 and out for Oklahoma. Trey Palmer ready to receive. Michael Turk will punt it away inside his own 5. Palmer backpedaling. Has it at the 31. Breaks 1 tackle. Tries to get down the sideline and steps out of bounds around the 34. 52-yard punt, but the Nebraska defense playing well to start. We'll see if it will continue. Big Noon Saturday is sponsored by Pacific Life, creating financial security for more than 150 years.
Above and Beyond, sponsored by Jersey Mike's. Be a sub above. And the guy above and beyond so far this year, Anthony Grant, the running back for Nebraska. He has been terrific. 5 rushing touchdowns, a TD in each game, and a guy that you don't want to get the ball too early and often. It's going to be the freshman Ajay Allen in the ball game at tailback for Nebraska.
From Monroe, Louisiana. First down for the Cornhuskers at the 32.
the snap, false start, offense, number 73, 5-yard penalty, still first down.
That's Brock Bando.
And those are the mistakes that have plagued Nebraska really for the last few seasons. Just small errors that make it tough on them during the course of a series.
Allen remains in the game, and they'll give it to him straight ahead. Ajay Allen, the freshman. Nice piece of running as he gains 10 yards. DJ Graham with the tackle.
He rushed for over 2,000 yards in high school, and Gus, you're going to love his nickname. You ready for this?
Yeah.
Quick Six.
Ooh. I like it. 2nd and 5 at the 37. Allen again, looking for the first down. Lowers his shoulder, dives forward, and he'll pick up 4 on 2nd and 5. Key Lawrence defensively. Brings up 3rd down and short. Allen, can he get there? Yes, he dives and picks up the first down.
How about the second effort from the young back? He got contacted behind the line of scrimmage and immediately just maneuvers over to his right and dives for the first down. There's the contact behind the line of scrimmage. Great balance, though, and willpower, getting himself across the line to gain and moving the sticks.
Allen has rushed for 76 yards and 58 yards in each of the last 2 games, scoring a touchdown in each. First down at the 43. Thompson backs up over to the sideline, and it's caught. Travis Vokalek, the receiver. Harmon with the tackle.
Yeah, good tackle in the open field, and that's something that OU in the last few years has struggled with, and really across college football. You talk to any defensive coordinator, Gus, what do they talk about? Tackling in space.
2nd down and 8. Thompson. And they'll go down to the 41. Deshaun White.
Nice break from the safety. Watches the safety, Billy Bowman. He's going to come up on Vokalek. That forces Thompson to pump and hold the ball and allows the pass rush to get there. And it finally gets home to Deshaun White with a big sack.
3rd down and 12 of the 41 for Nebraska. 5:04 to play in the first quarter. Here come the numbers for Oklahoma. They get back there, and it's a sack. Great rush by this Oklahoma defense. Lalou with the sack for the Sooners.
See that? The tackle got stepped on by the guard. Bryce Benhart gets his left foot stepped on, and because of that, it's an easy route for Lalou, who comes in, also a transfer from Hawaii, gets in there, and he's got a sack.
Jonah Lalou, and that'll force the Cornhuskers to punt it away. Mims, a deep man. As Buschini sends it high. Mims from the 20, hits the sideline. Mims tried to squeeze through the hole, and he'll get up to the 40-yard line. Great field position to start for this Oklahoma offense. Luke Reimer with the tackle on special teams. Start Saturday strong with America's #1 game window. Big noon Saturday on Fox. Next weekend, Jim Harbaugh's fourth ranked Wolverines look to unleash their offensive attack against Maryland. The big new kickoff pregame show will be live from the Big House at 10 Eastern, and then it's Maryland, Michigan next Saturday at noon Eastern on Fox.
Boy, I can't wait to see the new look Michigan offense and their new quarterback, Gus, J.J. McCarthy.
First down at the 37, and that play mishandled. Miles Farmer comes in there.
Like the snap was way off to the right. Dylan Gabriel is really lucky that that ball bounces right back to him.
Loss of 3, 2nd and 13. Gabriel guns it with the left hand to the far side. Drake Stoops with the catch. And it's a first down. Talked to Bob Stoops the other day. He was at his brother's game, Kentucky, getting ready to play. But you know he's sitting somewhere watching this.
Oh, you know he is. You know he's got a big smile on his face seeing Drake catch that one for a first down.
First down and 10 at the 47. Gabriel near side. Mims with another first down. Oklahoma starting to move the ball now.
And what they're doing is they're attacking the outside, okay? So the run game wasn't great early outside of the Gabriel run, but the man defense on the outside is allowing for some of these holes on the RPO.
First down at the 42, and this is Major. Quentin Newsom with the tackle. Major will gain 4.
And also the pace and the increased pace of this offense, I feel like has made it tough on Nebraska so far. They're having trouble getting lined up at times, and it's allowing for some successful plays.
2nd and 6. And they'll give it to Stoops on the sweep, and he'll go nowhere. Dropped right at the line of scrimmage. This time it's O'Shawn Mathis.
I love the chess match being played out here. Jeff Levy checked the play, changed it with their offense, and so Eric Chenander, the defensive coordinator, he changed the defense, and Nebraska came out on top on that.
3rd down and 6 at the 38. Gabriel underneath. Drake Stoops. I tell you what, he is a terrific slot receiver, picks up the first down.
And when you get that blitz, watch this. They're just going to exploit that blitz with a little slant right there. And look at all the space for Drake Stoops.
First down and 10 in the end zone. Touchdown, Oklahoma. Jalil Farouk. 25-yard score.
How about the throw? Absolute dime from Dylan Gabriel. That was beautifully thrown. Great pace and tempo from this Oklahoma offense. Gets Nebraska on their heels. And after a really nice 3rd down slant conversion to Drake Stoops, they're right on the ball. They snap it quickly. And Farouk was wide open. Thus, that was beautifully thrown by Dylan Gabriel.
Zach Schmidt comes in to attempt the extra point. And it's good. 1:57 to play in the first quarter. Oklahoma taking a 14-7 lead on the road.
There was a bit of a pump. Watch this, Gabriel's going to pump this, and Farouk just gives a bit of a double move right there. It's a slant, and then he's going down the sideline. The corner bites Tommy Hill, and he's wide open right there at the pylon. But again, that ball is just thrown perfectly right in his face mask. You know what the quarterback says to the wide receiver? When he comes over, you throw that. When you throw it that perfectly, you walk over, he's like, hey, man, you want handles on it or what? I mean, an absolute dime from Dylan Gabriel.
So you're something else, man. We're going handles on it. So Gabriel off to a great start. He's run for a 61-yard touchdown. Now he throws another touchdown. Throws a touchdown to Farouk. 4 plays of 10-plus yards on that drive.
And a much better start than what we saw early in the game last week for OU. Remember last week, they didn't score until the last couple of minutes of that first half and did not run the ball very well at all in that first half. 4 straight punts to start the game, but here they've come out, and after that first punt, they have put together a few really nice series.
And let's go downstairs and check in with Jenny.
Well, curious here how Nebraska will respond to this. And Mickey Joseph is a guy who has been looking forward to this opportunity as a head coach. If anyone knows why he is ready, it's his brother, Vance Joseph, former Broncos head coach, current offensive coordinator with the Cardinals. Now, I caught up with him yesterday, and he said the two talk every single day. And he pointed out that my brother is the kind of guy that's coaching for the right reasons. He is a teacher. He loves being a father figure. He's never chased jobs. He just wants to help the kids. He bleeds for Nebraska, and he is watching closely, guys. I promise you, he is paying so much attention to his brother today.
All right, thank you very much, Jenny. 1st and 10 at the 25. Grant in the backfield in the pistol formation. They'll give it to him. He'll run left, and is lucky to get back to the line of scrimmage. There is a flag on the play.
The contact is question was legal. 2nd down. No foul on the play.
You know, some history with the Joseph family. I played for Vance when he was an assistant coach at Colorado. Mickey's brother Sammy was a teammate of mine, and getting to know Mickey this week was a real breath of fresh air, wasn't it, Gus? And
yes.
What a great opportunity he has in front of him here over the next 9 games.
2nd down and 11 at the 24. Thompson, and incomplete.
These mistakes, though, they're born out of detail errors, and right now the wide receiver's not on the same page.
Alante Brown was the target.
With Casey Thompson, we saw in the last series, wide receiver run through zone defense, and now Thompson and the wide receivers again not on the same page.
3rd down and 11 at the 24. Casey Thompson in trouble and sacked again. They brought pressure from the backside. Jalen Redmond gets home. And that's a loss of 11.
What you're going to see here is the linebacker does a great job of slow playing his drop. So as they're trying to bring the crossing route, he doesn't have anywhere to go because that linebacker is staying tight. Safety over the top. Thompson has to hold the ball, and there is the pass rush. The productivity of this defensive front shows up again in Jalen Redmond. Remember, he was a 2020 opt-out. Missed a few games last year, but certainly a guy with a lot of talent.
Thompson has now been sacked for the 3rd time. Buschini sends it away. Mims wants a shot at it. He'll get it. Mims to the sideline. Mims at the 40. Mims lowers his shoulder, crashes forward inside the 25. Terrific return. Buschini, the punter, had to bring him down.
Well, after an amazing opening couple of series for Nebraska, both offensively and defensively, it has gone downhill in a hurry here in the back half of the 1st quarter, and now Oklahoma, great field position. Look for Jeff Lebby right here, the offensive play caller, to get aggressive, Gus, trying to put a dagger in the heart of the Nebraska faithful here early.
Mims with a 33-yard punt return. 1st down and 10 at the 23-yard line. Mims in motion. Over the middle. And incomplete. Gabriel thought he had his man, the intended receiver, Willis. That brings up 2nd and long.
Yeah, Willis was open. That was really the first poor throw from Gabriel all day long. He bought a little time moving to his right and just couldn't make the completion across the middle.
2nd and 10 at the 23. This time they'll run it. Gabriel hands it off. And it's Gray. Eric Gray, the senior from Memphis. And that should take us to the end of the quarter. Let's see. Now they're going to get to the line of scrimmage quickly and run, try to get one off. 3rd down and 4. Gabriel drops it off in the flats, and that's Willis. Dives forward, and he's down inside the 10. Luke Reimer brings him to the turf after a 7-yard pickup.
Boy, the rhythm that we're seeing from this offense is incredible, and a physical finish to that catch and run from Braden Willis, the tight end.
So that's the end of the 1st quarter with the score 14-7. OU on top of Nebraska, and they're knocking on the door. Back after this. Big Noon Saturday is sponsored by AT&T Business.
There's Zach Wiegert getting his Hall of Fame plaque here during the break. College Football Hall of Fame, class of 2022. Wiegert was an Outland Trophy winner, All-American. Walked on that great 1994 National Championship team for Tom Osborne.
So here come the Sooners trying to punch it in. And they'll find Mims. Did he get in there? Yes, he did. Touchdown, OU.
Love this plan for Oklahoma so far early in this game. And you see the speed from Mims around the edge. Got a little bit of a block from Willis, number 9, who's not going to lead around the edge for him. And Isaac Gifford, the sophomore safety, he was trying to get outside, just could not get there. And Mims is able to just get inside the pylon. What a series for this Oklahoma offense.
Marvin Mims, serious football player, has 7 catches for 163 yards and 2 touchdowns last week in their win over Kent State. from Frisco, Texas. Oklahoma trying to take a 21-7 lead.
This play is under further review.
And they'll take a look at it.
All right, let's dive in here. What are we reviewing exactly?
I think he may have stepped out of bounds.
I mean, he was clearly inside the pylon. As soon as any part of your body is inside the pylon or touching the pylon, you get the pylon extended. He's in. He gets the pylon extended at that point. No,
pylon doesn't.
That foot's got to be in the end zone for it to extend.
Mike Carrera joins us, our rules analyst. Mikey, rule books, what do you think about this play?
Well, you just talked about this. Interesting when we saw it the very first time. In order for the goal line to extend, the key element is that you have to get a foot down in the end zone. If you don't, then you've got to get the ball over the top or inside the pylon. So when you run here, at that point, did the ball actually get inside the pylon? I don't think he is. I mean, if you look at the rule, then to me, he's actually short, should be short.
If his leg would have touched the pylon, that's when he would have gotten the goal line extended. Is that correct, Mike?
Well, but when his leg touches the pylon, then that ends the play. That makes the play dead. So then it becomes the position of the ball at that point. So it's a matter of him not touching the pylon. The big thing is, and this has gotten cleaned up over the years, it used to be the goal line used to extend all the way around the world. And then they cut that and said, kind of changed it to say, it only extends if you get a body part down in the end zone. And in this case, tough play, but I think if you look at the rule, this should be short.
Yeah, it most likely will be short because that ball in the right hand, then when the foot comes down out on the white line, never crossed, so I'm sure it'll be at the half-yard line. They're writing down those notes, Mike, means that they're bringing back, looking at clock, looking at ball position, hash mark, so on and so forth.
Yeah, you have to look at all the elements after that in terms of clock, what is the clock, and of course we don't have the situation with runoffs because we're not near the end of the half, but so much goes into making these decisions. They got to get it all written down.
Well, at least this isn't like targeting width and a safety because last week was a cluster.
After further review, the ball crossed outside the pylon, and the runner never touched in the end zone inbounds. Therefore, it's going to be at the half-yard line, second down.
So that'll bring up second down and goal at the 1.
Great description there from Mikey Rule Books. This offensive line has played really well so far. Been able to run the ball very effectively so far. And you get the sense that Jeff Levy, the offensive coordinator, is going to let him come off the rock here.
Quickly to the line of scrimmage. And a timeout call by Nebraska. We'll step away momentarily. Back after this. Big Noon Saturday is sponsored by Liberty Mutual Insurance. Only pay for what you need. And by Dr. Pepper, the one fans deserve. Memorial Stadium, 14-7. Oklahoma with the lead and the football deep inside Nebraska territory. They're facing a second down and goal at the 1. Gabriel, the quarterback. Quickly to the line of scrimmage, out of the eye, second man through, touchdown. Marcus Major. And Oklahoma takes a 20-7 lead.
Boy, easy up front. Those big boys up front providing a huge hole for Marcus Major, who they think is probably their most powerful back. rolls in at 220 pounds, but the right side of that offensive line just hammered away. And an easy touchdown for Oklahoma, and this offense has come to life.
Oklahoma averaging 6.1 yards per rush today. Schmidt for the extra point, and it's good. 21-7 OU, 6th ranked team in the nation, and their offensive guys are pushing.
This is the camera at the back end. Look at that. Gus, you and I, everybody could have run through that. Marcus Major pops into the end zone. That brings us to our Pacific Life game summary, sponsored by Pacific Life, creating financial security for more than 150 years. Well, Oklahoma has, like I said, come to life after that first series. Listen, the opening couple of series for Nebraska were terrific. They scored a touchdown on their opening drive offensively, but since then it's been 3 straight punts. They've been sacked 3 times, and Oklahoma has really dominated the game. That defensive front, very productive so far in the opening couple of weeks for the Sooners, and more of the same here early, getting to the quarterback, Casey Thompson, and this Nebraska team, they better figure it out quickly, or else this could get away from them.
So as you watch Oklahoma this season, although the season is early, do you see a difference between the Venables OU squad and the Lincoln Riley OU squad?
Yes, I think that this squad is a bit more balanced. Although we're seeing some offensive fireworks here, and they clearly played well in the second half last week against Kent State on offense, this is a defense that will be better and will be more productive. I don't think they will rely on their offense quite as much as what they used to. This defense is, and I thought Coach Meyer did a great job on the kickoff show of explaining the chaos defense and all the different fronts and the looks that this defense gives the quarterback, but they do that in order to get production behind the line of scrimmage, and that's showing up today.
First down at the 25, and OU just reading that play with no problem. Palmer wrapped up, ridden down, and this time it's Ethan Downs.
Totally unblocked, and again, the mistakes now are starting to pile up for Nebraska. Downs just walks into the backfield, and again, one of those behind the line of scrimmage plays that I've been talking about for the Sooners defense.
A loss of 6, second down at 16 to the 19. Thompson steps into his throw underneath, that one thrown low and incomplete.
Well, this offense has gone totally lifeless now in the last couple of series, and part of it is Thompson doesn't look like. I mean, remember, he had that beautiful throw for a touchdown to Trey Palmer on the opening series, and then since then he and the wide receivers cannot get on the same page. That was an easy throw over the middle. He throws it into the ground, and Gus, the run game hasn't done anything, and they find themselves in a 3rd and long.
From the 19. Casey Thompson this time will hand it off, and not much there. Anthony Grant stopped by Ethan Downs again. That brings up 4th down and long.
And a quick series for a defense that has just gotten shredded on back-to-back series, and credit Ethan Downs and that front 7 for this Oklahoma defense. And this is exactly what you Sooner fans wanted and hoped it would be under Brent Venables, a guy that you know and love from his history, certainly has great success from Clemson, and has come in and really put his stamp on this defense early.
3 national championships as an assistant, in 2000 with Coach Stoops at OU, and then 2 with the Clemson Tigers. Good field position for the Sooners to start their series. Back right after this. Big Noon Saturday is sponsored by AT&T Business. AT&T 5G, fast, reliable, secure. 50 years ago, Johnny Rodgers won the Heisman Trophy, the first for Nebraska. Today, he was honored by the school.
And what a history he had, Gus, in this specific matchup as well. Remember that great return in the game of the century. Just, man.
Here's Oklahoma over the middle, incomplete. Gabriel looking for Mims.
This offense, I don't want to make it seem like OU is going to all of a sudden be slow on offense or not explosive. Jeff Lebby, their offensive coordinator, has a great history of having great offenses. Cut his teeth at Baylor when they were running that spread running attack. And he's had great offenses at UCF and then back-to-back years at Ole Miss.
Here's Stoops. Cuts it up. Drake Stoops across the 40. Picks up about 5.
One of the things that OU has been known for is their running game, and Lebby is a guy that knows how to run the football really well.
3rd down and 5. Gabriel connects. Is it a first down? Looks like it may be. Daniel Parker with the catch and a nice extension at the end of the play for 1st down.
What great ball placement there from Dylan Gabriel. Right on that upfield shoulder allowed Parker to lean forward and get that extra yard to move the chains.
1st down. Marcus Major, the deep man, behind Gabriel. And a timeout call by OU. Their first.
Timeout. Their first of the half. 30 seconds away.
Now, one of the things that this OU group talked to me about this week, Gus, is how much they love their young receivers. Haven't heard much from them yet this year. I just saw Jaden Gibson on the field, number 1 on that series. He's a freshman from Winter Garden, Florida. Originally committed to Florida, but the Sooners got him to flip over. And they feel like he's got not only the speed, but the size. Get this, 6'5", 195. So a guy that they think can be really dangerous. He was on the field on that last play when they called the timeout, and now they're actually going to take him out. But watch out for these young receivers. Nick Anderson, number 4, is another guy that they talk glowingly about during the course of the week.
So 1st down at the 47 for Oklahoma. Stoops. Gabriel winds up the deep ball. He's got a man. Incomplete. But a flag on the play. Mims, the intended receiver, Quentin Newsom, just tackled him.
Pass interference. Defense. Number 6. 15-yard penalty and automatic. 1st down.
I think Newsom had to tackle him because this looked like it was going to be a touchdown here. Looks like Mims is tracking it. He's all over it, and right there, Newsom clearly early tackling. Mims didn't allow him to get to that ball. That was thrown perfectly from Dylan Gabriel.
So that moves the ball to the Nebraska 38-yard line. 1st down and 10. Major, and he'll squeeze through the hole and gain a couple.
And you can see the influences that Jeff Lebby has had on his offensive system. On some of these plays, he gets those wide receivers way out wider than the numbers. That's that spread rushing attack that was made so famous by the Baylor Bears.
2nd down and 8 at the 36. Gabriel, jump pass. Caught. That's his tight end, Willis. And he's stopped by Marquise Buford. But a gain of 12.
Boy, and just great rhythm. And here's that spread attack I was talking about. Look at how far apart outside the numbers these wide receivers are lined up.
1st down to the 24. Near side. And a pass. Caught. Touchdown. Major with the reception. That ball thrown by Willis.
Boy, the quick tempo is so hard to just get lined up against. And there they've got a couple of guys down at the bottom of your screen outside of the numbers. Gabriel, though, astutely, and this is great detail from the offense. Did you see him step up towards the line of scrimmage? That's so the first pass was backwards to Willis. Then Willis steps up and boom, delivers the time. And that's a touchdown and another great offensive series for these Oklahoma Sooners.
Major with his 2nd touchdown of the day. And that was the first receiving touchdown of his career. And I'll tell you what, partner, we've covered Oklahoma for a lot of years. Under Coach Venables, they look different. Time to celebrate Fansville and college football with an ice-cold Dr. Pepper, the one fans deserve. Electric atmosphere here in Lincoln. Always a great crowd, supportive fan base. There have been some glorious days for the Cornhuskers, and they're looking forward to trying to get back to it. Schmidt sends it away into the end zone for a touchback. For a quarter of a century, Nebraska fans were treated to football excellence under Coach Tom Osborne, winning 3 national titles and never experiencing a losing season. The 25 years since then have told a different story, however. The Huskers have had 8 losing seasons and have won just 1 conference title, let alone a national championship.
Gus, I can tell you, as a kid that grew up in Denver, Colorado, and I was a fan of the Colorado Buffaloes, and I watched this program in their heyday. It's astounding what has happened here. I mean, this was the preeminent program in college football in the middle of the 90s.
And they'll hand it off for first down. Not a lot of running room. I love that T-shirt. Coach Meyer.
He's here.
You can see him in Nebraska. No, Shelley wouldn't go.
No?
We love Florida.
Okay. Well, you never know.
You never know. Second down and 13 at the 22. Near side and another incompletion. That time, Palmer was the target and Deshaun White was there defensively. You played when you were the quarterback at Colorado here in Lincoln twice.
Yeah.
And you won twice.
Yeah, I mean, which was kind of wild based on how successful they were at home during those years. But I will tell you that this is one of the fan bases that I respect the most in all of college football. First as a competitor and now covering college football. These fans deserve a program that they can be proud of, and that's the charge that Trev Alberts has in front of him.
They're down at 13 on the run, and Thompson completes it to Trey Palmer for first down.
Well, to say this is a big drive is an understatement, and more than anything, they just need to keep their defense on the sideline. This Oklahoma defense, though, however, and Gus, you pointed to it, and we've talked about it a little bit, this is just a totally different unit than what we've seen over the last few years.
Gain of 15 on the last play. Allen, the freshman, running straight ahead.
You know, it's interesting, Gus, when you have a new coach, coaches always talk about, well, you know, chemistry and how do I get my guys in here? And in the past, it would have taken 2 years to get your guys in there. Well, now with the transfer portal, a guy like Brent Venables, he comes in here and he feels like this is his locker room right away.
Second down and 9. Thompson underneath. It's complete, but not a lot. This time, it's Brewington with the reception. Agwebu just drilled him.
Yeah, Agwebu is a really good player, and they've got some seniors and veteran leaders that stuck around in this program and really bought into what Brent Venables wanted to do on this defensive side. And Agwebu is one of them, a senior from Katy, Texas.
Third down and 3 at the 44. And a flag.
False start. Offense. Number 4, 5-yard penalty. Still third down.
You know, what's tough about a week like this for Nebraska is you try to rely on emotion and the energy of youthfulness. But the bottom line is in this sport, the quickest way to be defeated is to be distracted. And there's nothing more distracting than a coaching change for everyone involved, the coaching staff and the players alike.
Third Nebraska false start. Third down and 8. Thompson off his back foot. And incomplete. A lot of wrestling going on. Let's see. Jaden Davis defending Trey Palmer. Looks like he pushed off as well.
Yeah. There was a lot on both sides, wasn't there?
Pass interference. Defense. Number 4. 15-yard penalty and automatic. First down.
Yeah, I would not have been surprised if that went either way. Yeah, there's a lot of contact from Jaden Davis, but clearly you've got Trey Palmer extending that right arm and pushing off to try to gain an advantage. So a ton of contact there down the sideline, and I think Nebraska got the benefit of the doubt there on the offensive side.
Oklahoma held their second timeout of the half, 30 seconds at length.
And a timeout called by OU, their second. Don't forget, you can find all of Joel's Breaking the Huddle content, including his weekly top 10 rankings at foxsports.com, the Fox Sports app, and CFB on Fox social platforms. So let me get this right. Listen, you have the Breaking the Huddle show, and you have your own podcast.
Well, yeah, see, so we got the audio for the podcast out there. You know, folks, I appreciate that, Gus. By the way, go download and subscribe to the podcast, everybody, the Joel Clash Show. But then the FS1 show is Breaking the Huddle. That's on TV. You know, so we're just trying to take care of all the products. And there we go. Look at that. And look at that. Go download the podcast.
Who are you, Howard Stern, the king of all media now?
Oh, man, you're the best.
Unbelievable. First down and 10 at the 46. And the handoff to Allen. And I remember covering Coach V when he was an assistant for Coach Stoops. The thing that I loved about him more, when we would go into meetings with him, he had the most intense, fiercest eyes.
Yes, he did. Like, you know, like many defensive coordinators, and he's had to try to tone that down. But look at him. He's still in there. He's making calls. This is in his nature. And that energy, I think, is infectious. And I think that it has really permeated throughout this program, and in particular on this defensive side.
And they'll run it. Allen with some running room, and they'll dive forward, picking up the first down. Nebraska showing some signs of life on this drive.
Yeah, good series and a nice job by that left side of the offensive line right there. Allen had a big hole to run through, and he's able to pop that one for a first down. And again, a very important series. Two fronts for Nebraska. They need points so that this doesn't get out of hand. And also the defense, which has been on the field for a long time in the last few series, they need a rest.
First down and 10 at the 27. 8:34 remaining in the second quarter. Thompson drops it off in the flats, and he's got his receiver. Nice little piece of running after that play. This time it's his tight end, Berenichur.
How about the tough spin? Stutzman is in there, 28. He's able to spin out of that. Borkacher is able to spin out, get a few positive yards.
Borkacher, excuse me. Second down and 6. And they stay on the ground, Allen.
I think this is 4-down territory. They can't settle for a field goal. After what Oklahoma's offense has been doing, I think Mickey Joseph knows that. And so I think that they may have a couple of snaps here to get these 4 yards.
Empty backfield for Casey Thompson. Thompson steps up in the pocket, tries to break contain, and he'll get close to the first down marker, but great pursuit of Weibu. Caught him from behind.
And they'll stay on the field, as I suspected here, bring in an extra tight end. And it'll be a 4th down opportunity for Nebraska. They have got to stay on the field, folks. This is a must-convert here early in this game.
4th down and 2 at the 19. Cornhuskers going for it. They run it. I don't know. It'll be close. Anthony Grant was his knee down before getting to the line to gain.
And you said it about his knee. He needed to get. It does not look like this spot got there. Watch as he kind of slips and goes down and tries to keep himself up. There's the blitz right there on the outside. That's Billy Bowman, number 5, and we'll see if he goes down. Absolutely went down. He's going to be short. Great job by Billy Bowman, number 5, the sophomore from Denton. He's been highly productive for this OU defense early. Love his game, love his energy. Very active player. 20 tackles so far on the season through 2 games coming into this week, and it looked like he was able to get Grant down short of that line to gain.
And that was the first 4th down attempt of the season for Nebraska. So they'll turn it over on downs. OU with the football with 7:01 to go.
And Billy Bowman's not a huge guy. He's only 5'10", 190 pounds, but he was highly recruited. He was a top 50 player overall. I I tell you what, played his high school ball at Ryan High School, and Billy Bowman with a nice stop off the edge. Allen just could not keep himself off the turf, and OU is able to get a stop after Nebraska finally put together a bit of a positive offensive series.
First down at the 18-yard line for the Sooners. Underneath, caught, and a first down. This time it's the tight end Willis. Braden Willis, fifth-year senior from Arlington, Texas.
It was a late flag way up far side of the field. I think that they're going to get an ineligible here. Yeah, they're trying to run that RPO, offensive line blocking the run.
Ineligible player downfield, offense number 56, 5-yard penalty, still first down.
Now, what's the rule on that?
So it's, you get a 3-yard buffer, okay? So the right guard here, Murray, watch, you get a 3-yard buffer. So basically right around, let's see, right around there. And he's downfield. Then he takes one more step as Gabriel holds the ball. And in that RPO game, you better throw that ball quickly or else your lineman will be down there.
First and 15 to the sideline. Caught. Farouk, who has a touchdown in this game. Stopped by Henrich after a 25-yard pickup.
I think the question for OU coming into this year around this offense was, were they going to be able to retain some explosiveness without Lincoln Riley? And today they have.
Over the middle. Incomplete. Was open.
Yeah, he was. Gabriel's going to want that one back, isn't he? He had him open. It was a great route at the top of your screen. Watch Farouk. He's going to get separation, and then you see the speed. He's gone. This ball hits him in the chest. He hits his head on the goalpost. And Gabriel just overthrows him as a quarterback. Worst feeling in the world right there. Well, actually, let's say pick six is the worst feeling. That one's also really bad.
Second and 10. And they'll run it. Gray with room. First down and more. Great balance by this Oklahoma offense today. Quentin Newsom ushers him out of play, but that's a 25-yard gain.
Yeah, look at this left side of the O-line. I mean, just covering people up. Tight end Willis coming in, getting the block. I mean, they are doing a great job up front.
Gabriel guns it. Sideline incomplete. Mims. The target with secondary play. Isaac Gifford, nickel back defensively.
I just love the plan because this has been very different from what I've watched on film from the opening 2 weeks. Granted, it was UTEP and Kent State, and I don't feel like they had to show much, but they held it close to their vest. And Jeff Lebby, he's letting it hang out a little bit here, and you're seeing different formations, different tempo and pace to the way that they're playing, and they're attacking down the field. This has been really good stuff.
Second and 10 at the 37. And the handoff straight ahead. Gray finally chopped down. What a tackle.
Look how fast they're going after these big plays. Right at the line of scrimmage. Here they are, ready to snap it. This defense cannot catch their breath at all.
Caleb Tanner with the tackle there. And in the end zone. And incomplete.
And you see, Gus, it's not just
Weiss, the intended receiver.
Big play and then just nondescript run, right? I mean, they're coming up and taking shots. You know, you love the boxing analogies, right? Mm-hmm. They're throwing haymakers right now. And Nebraska is reeling and on the ropes defensively.
Second down and 10 to the 22. Gabriel pulls it out, looks in the corner, and incomplete. Mims, Isaac Gifford with some pressure.
Great pressure right there from Nebraska, exactly what they needed. Get somebody in the face of Dillon Gabriel and disrupt the timing of that passing game. And now a chance to get off the field.
Third down and 10. Here's Gabriel dancing, and Gabriel sacked at the line of scrimmage. Nicely done, Ty Robinson.
Well, they brought a blitz off that left side from the safety. You see Marquez Buford in there, and that's who Gabriel is trying to escape from as he leaves and goes up in the middle of that pocket, and then he's ultimately brought down. Good stop for the Cornhuskers there. Mickey Joseph loving it.
Zach Schmidt comes in to attempt the field goal from 39 yards out. And he pushed it wide right. So the Nebraska defense, something to be positive about, turning Oklahoma away. However, the Sooners still lead big on the road here in Lincoln.
Unanswered points for Oklahoma. Sooners are up 21. Rob Stone with you coming up on the State Farm halftime. New #1 Georgia having their way in South Carolina. Unbeaten Michigan mauling UConn. And the guys will join me, and they're going to talk about how this Oklahoma defense was able to tighten things up after that opening drive.
All right, thank you very much, Rob. First down and 10 at the 22 for Nebraska. And they'll hand it off. No room for Anthony Grant. He goes backwards, trying to reverse his field. Does, but is still tracked down. I love the swarming defense of this Oklahoma team. That's a 5-yard loss.
And they are all running. You said it. Swarming is the exact right term. Brent Venables has got to be ecstatic with the effort that he's seeing from these guys, but it's also the aggressiveness of what they're doing on the scheme. You know, what the guys will be talking about at halftime is just how aggressive they're being with their second level and giving the multiple looks to Casey Thompson. You know, they are active, and you watch these linebackers, they're all walking around. It's tough for the offensive line to know where they're at.
Thompson in trouble, got hit as he threw it. I'll never forget what Coach Bob Stoops said. You know, he took over this Oklahoma team after Lincoln Riley left to go to USC. He coached them in the Alamo Bowl against Oregon, but he had a great quote at a press conference. He said, "We're not worried about Lincoln. He can go do whatever he wants to do. We're Oklahoma, and we're going to be okay." And to get a guy like Brent Venables, and this is his dream job.
Personal foul, roughing the passer with targeting. Defense number 23, 15-yard penalty and an automatic. First down. The targeting is under further review.
There's Deshaun White, Gus.
Oh, yeah.
This will absolutely be targeting. So he dips that. They've redefined the crown this year, but this is absolutely crown. Head down, initiates contact with the crown. This is really both forms of targeting, probably, when you're talking about it. You've got initiating the contact with the crown of the helmet. Pretty textbook, Mike Pereira, isn't it?
Absolutely textbook. You know, the one thing that they talk about all the time is he looking down. You're looking for the crown here. Is he looking to the ground, which is exactly what you have there. White lowers his head, hits with the crown. Doesn't have to be in the head or neck area. It can be anywhere in the body when you're talking about the crown. And they said to note, by the way, roughing the passer with targeting. So even if they chose to take this off, which I'm sure they are not,
after further
it would
review,
still be roughing the
ruling on
passer.
the field of targeting is confirmed with the crown and the helmet. Number 23 is disqualified.
Well, there was another aggressive call. Gus, I was talking about the aggressiveness and everything that they were doing defensively, getting those linebackers active, and there was a blitz, and Deshaun White comes free. And those defensive guys, their eyes get big when they feel like they've got a free run at the quarterback. But that was just textbook targeting, and now they'll be without Deshaun White, a fifth-year senior from Richland Hills, Texas, and a guy that has played really well for them so far early in this season.
First down for Nebraska at their own 32. Jay Allen cuts it back, and they find some space. Stopped by Agwebu.
You watch this defense from snap to snap, and you watch how active Brent Venables is on the sideline. They're changing the call every snap. That's why it's hard for this offensive line to know where they're at.
Far side, ball caught. Palmer Will gain a yard. Ethan Downs brings him down again.
And this third down opportunity now, and they've got to protect the passer here. But if you Mark Whipple, the offensive coordinator for Nebraska, got to get this ball out quickly.
Low snap, handle. Thompson in trouble, and Thompson sacked again. Flag on the play. Downs back there. And if this stands, it'll be his second sack.
Looks like they had a chop block on that left side, but boy, the aggressive call again defensively. They are tenacious, just coming after the quarterback, and the offensive line totally confused with who to block.
Personal foul, chop block, offense. Number 57 and number 9. That penalty is declined. 4th down.
All right, so here you go. You're going to have 57 engaged, and then watch Allen comes in. He's going to go low. Okay, so any engagement up top, there's the engagement. Boom, there's the chop down low. Easy textbook call, but there's Kanik in there. Jaron Kanik, the freshman, and he's got a free run. I mean, Casey Thompson has no chance on some of these plays, Gus. Their protection is just totally blown.
8th tackle for a loss by OU in this game, including 4 sacks. Like I said, folks, this Oklahoma defense looks different. One thing I do, and that ball muffed. Recovered. And it'll be OU football. Thursday, it's a special baseball night in America on Fox. Aaron Judge looks to continue his record-setting season as he leads the Yankees against their rivals, the Red Sox, or Ronald Acuna Jr. and the Braves battle for the NL East as they take on Bryce Harper and the Phillies. It all begins at 6:30 Eastern on Fox.
Huge sequence here. 2:54 left, 28-7. This OU offense has been rolling. We'll see what they got here on this series.
First down at the 35. They'll run it over the right side. Major chopped down by Miles Farmer. Pickup of 5. .236 to play. Another run by OU. And that's going to be interesting to watch with this Oklahoma team. Will they run it in the big games?
Well, this is I mean, even under Lincoln Riley, they were very successful running the football. I remember, Rodney Anderson and all the Kennedy Brooks, who's had 3 straight 1,000-yard years, and you would think that they would be able to run it still under Jeff Lebby. People don't know this about Jeff Lebby, but both his offenses at Ole Miss each of the last 2 years led the SEC in rushing. So it's certainly a part of his DNA, and they're featuring it here on this series.
Approaching the 2-minute mark. First down and 10 at the 46. Balance for OU. 150 yards rushing, 152 yards passing. Watch out, Marvin Mims. Marvin Mims still going. And Marvin Mims goes down deep inside Nebraska territory. Marquise Buford with the tackle after a gain of 40. Mims having a huge day.
Yes, he is, and you can see the speed and explosiveness. Luke Reimer with the missed tackle, and he missed on the inside. He missed on the wrong side of Mims because the help was coming from the inside of the defense. It allowed Mims to get down the sideline away from that help, and a big play.
1:50 remaining in the first half. 28-7, Oklahoma. And another run. Great. Touchdown Sooners.
Wow, that left side, Gus, is playing some football right now. Watch this. I mean, they got locked up here, they got locked up here, and then they're going to pull across, and the linebacker just gets stoned in the hole. I mean, boom. Look at that. That is perfect execution up front. And Gray with a great move at the second level gets into the end zone. That is some work up front, folks. If you love run blocking, that's textbook.
That's a third different Sooner with the rushing touchdown TD today. 35-7 in the first half. And Ginny, let's go downstairs.
Well, we're seeing how easy it's looked between Dillon Gabriel and offensive coordinator Jeff Lebby. Well, so much of that goes back to how it started. Lebby had recruited him out of high school when he was at UCF, and the reason Dillon went there was because of him. He said, even though we only had that 1 year together, I feel like I played my best football then. The two have remained extremely close. And remember, guys, Dillon Gabriel became very close to becoming a Bruin. He almost went to UCLA. The night before, Coach Lebby calls him. He said, the Sooners need a quarterback. Dillon told me I followed my gut. One of the hardest decisions of my life, but it just felt right to be a Sooner. And we're seeing it pay off right now.
What a first half for Oklahoma. Gabriel, his numbers, efficient.
Gus, how many years? Well, I mean, we've done Oklahoma multiple times. All 8 of the years we've worked together.
I've been doing Oklahoma for 12 straight years.
I haven't seen a team like that.
I haven't seen it. That's what I keep saying.
You know, this is.
And I don't mean to be redundant. Don't forget, coming up at the half, Rob Stone, Brady Quinn, Reggie Bush, Matt Leinart, and Urban Meyer are standing by with the State Farm halftime show right here from Memorial Stadium in Lincoln.
You know, don't get me wrong. We saw them win and big, you know, but this feels different.
They look physical.
Yes, the physical.
On both sides of the football.
At the line of scrimmage, the attacking style of these linebackers and this defensive front. Can't wait to hear the guys talk about it at halftime. But they have just been all over Nebraska on both sides of the ball.
Maulers. First down to the 25. And Nebraska conservatively stays on the ground. Anthony Grant. Pickup of 3. Second and 7. Thompson over the middle, and he has his receiver, and that's a gain of a first down. Stutzman with the tackle, Marcus Washington with the reception.
And outside of one pass play for the touchdown, the coverage has been outstanding. No free runners in that secondary. Coverage on top and underneath.
Far side. Not a lot. For Palmer. A minute to go in the first half.
You know, I called Coach Stoops earlier this week. One, because we love him, right? So
we adore Coach Bob Stoops.
And the first thing he wants to talk about is this defense.
They look good. Grant, first down.
Flag back in the backfield.
During the run, holding, offense, number 69, 10-yard penalty from the spot of the foul. Still second down.
It's Corcoran, who moved from left guard to left tackle today with their starting left tackle out, Teddy Prohaska. Turner Corcoran moved out there, gets called for the hold. We've seen a few of those mistakes, but folks, this has not been about the mistakes that Nebraska has made. Today, in this first half, it has been about the physicality, energy of this OU team. Both units, offense and defense, they have come to play in a major way here in Lincoln.
Here's the run. Grant tried to get outside. Good tackling by this Oklahoma team. Mechanic.
You know, great defense. When you're on offense, it can feel like the tide coming in when you're sitting on the beach. Wave after wave. It doesn't matter if there's a hole there. All of a sudden, There's another guy waiting, and there's another blitz and pressure, and Casey Thompson hit again as he tried to let go of that one. And again, Kanak in there, the freshman from Hays, Kansas, and Nebraska will take it to the half. Down 38-7. Don't forget, after the break, join Rob, the guys with the State Farm Halftime Show right here from Memorial Stadium in Lincoln. But right now, it is all Sooners. Saturday is sponsored by AT&T Business. Welcome back to Lincoln. It's been all OU, 35-7. Brent Venables and the Sooners all over the Cornhuskers here on the road. Folks, Gus is under the weather and is going to need to step away for the second half. I'll be taking you the rest of the way, but up to this point, so far in the first half, folks, it's been Dylan Gabriel and these Sooners. Let's take a look at our second half connection, sponsored by AT&T Business. AT&T 5G, fast, reliable, secure. There's the double pass. Beautiful job by Gabriel to step up, make that first pass a backwards pass, and then sure enough, it winds up in the end zone there with Marcus Major. The defense has been smothering so far. Aggressive up front. Their defensive line has been fantastic. And then they've been sending that pressure at Casey Thompson all day long for Brent Venables. For right now, let's go downstairs and bring in Jenny Taft.
Well, Joel, it was really clear when Oklahoma ran into the locker room that the score at the break is not something they're focusing on. Every coach was yelling 0-0. We are not going to have any let up. And Coach Venables also telling me there is nothing less important than the score at the break. He wants to see his defense continue to play better. Of course, we talked about what happened in that opening drive, and he said what changed was they settled down. They started to trust themselves, trust their teammates. He wants to see them tackle well and just do those simple little things. And of course, Mickey Joseph said the message to the guys was, don't look at the scoreboard. Just keep fighting. He said, our guys will fight. They are not worried about the score. And right now, it's about doing those little things. That's what we look to see from Nebraska in a response in the second.
That's all he can hope for. Mickey Joseph played for Tom Osborne, quarterback here at Nebraska. This is his audition, folks, to be the next head coach of the Cornhuskers. But it's 35-7 as we get started here in the second half. And that one's out of the end zone. So Nebraska comes out here, and they have got to get established early in this second half. First and foremost, it's the ability to protect their passer, maybe with run game on first down, maybe with some misdirection. But that front seven for OU has been all over them. And I'm going to welcome upstairs now Brady Quinn, who's going to join me the rest of the way. Brady, what's going on, bud?
Not much, Joel. Obviously, pleasure to enjoy you up here in the booth. Talk a little football with you, buddy.
There we go. 1st and 10 from the 25. Pressure again. Thompson steps up. Beautiful pass. Trey Palmer over the middle. And he's got a first down. And did that ball come out?
And Joel, I was just going to say, that's exactly what Casey Thompson's going to have to do. Move in the pocket, find a window, make a throw. But here you can see the Oklahoma defense just being opportunistic and ripping this football out before Trey Palmer hits the ground.
What a great play. And again, Brady, that's Jaron Kanak. Kanak is a freshman. They are so high on number 7 for OU. This guy is flying around. We've seen him with pressure on Casey Thompson. And there, they do everything right. Thompson steps up in the pocket. Boom, you got a completion to Trey Palmer. And again, it's the hustle and enthusiasm from that defense ripping the ball loose.
Well, that's been the constant here today. Rallying to the football by Oklahoma. You know, it's not just one Sooner wrapping up, taking something to the ground. It's the entire defense, it seems like, getting after it.
Well, now the for the Sooners steps right back on the field, and they were certainly in rhythm early. Now 1st and 10 here for the 46. And And there's Gray, steps away on the left side. Good move, about 8.
Joel, how good has he been? Just the jump cuts, the vision today so far.
And they've been looking for him to do that and take that next step ever since he transferred from Tennessee. You know, trying to replace Kennedy Brooks is not easy.
No.
And he's certainly played well today. One up the middle, and it looks like he'll move the chains. And also, Brady, that offensive line, they've played great. Haven't mentioned their names a lot yet. Anton Harrison, left tackle. Caden Matarier, the guard, came in as a transfer from Cal. They were really high on him, and they've been great on that left side. There's Gabriel, dumps off, great catch by Gray. And he is stuck right away. That is Henrich with the tackle, 4 on the game. We can extend here, grab this one one-handed, but Henrich is right there to make the tackle for 4. Gabriel, little RPO, dropped. That was Farouk on the outside. Brady, when you see them get into that RPO game, well, I love the way Dylan Gabriel makes decisions quickly.
Yeah, and that really plays to his strengths, and also some of the things they've done off of that. Some of the double moves, we saw one earlier.
5 of 8 today on 3rd down. Gabriel to his right. Farouk. First down, Sooners. Beautiful throw, went right back to him. We saw the drop on the last play, go right back to him, and he corrals it for the first.
And Nebraska came with the all-out pressure. Dylan Gabriel knew he had to get the ball out quick. He chose his matchup and converts.
His decision-making has been really good today. Now Gray over the right side, powers ahead, and he'll get about 3. And this offensive line continues to kind of hammer away at that defensive front. And this defense, I haven't even talked about it yet. They are missing so many guys that were veteran guys from a year ago, and that's clearly been really an understated issue. As Gray, another run. How about the move? Brady steps away, touchdown, Oklahoma. 21-yard scamper, and again, huge hole in the middle of that offensive line.
And we just talked about it a moment ago. The jump cuts, the vision. We've seen this the entire first half now, bleeding into the second half. Let's take a look at this.
Going to get blocks right up the middle. See, you got guard center, boom, covering up. And that little wham block, you see the wham block from 22? That's Daniel Parker, transfer from Missouri. And that little space that he creates with that wham block, boom, and Gray is right there to hit it.
I love about Gray, too. He gets up on the defender's feet before he makes the move. You know, that's how you make a guy miss. You don't want to make it too far ahead.
Well, this offense is rolling. OU, 9 offensive drives, 6 touchdowns. Gray in the end zone for the Sooners.
Big Noon Saturday is sponsored by Progressive. One thing no one would ever challenge, protecting your home and car with Progressive.
Today's game is featured on the free-to-play Fox Bet Super 6 app. One of the questions in the contest is, which team will have the longest play and how long will that play be? OU or Nebraska? Something tells me that longest play may have already taken place.
You think? The Dylan Gabriel scamper?
That was pretty good, wasn't it?
The longest play of the season so far.
That was a 61-yard run from Gabriel earlier in this game as the ball falls off the tee. If you're just joining us, folks, Gus is doing well. He's just very much under the weather. He's going to step away here in the second half. I'll be taking you the rest of the way with Brady, Ginny on the sidelines. Coach Meyer will join us at some point. We'll continue this conversation about this great rivalry and these two programs moving forward here on Big Noon Saturday. So Brady, Nebraska back on the field offensively, and this is a position that you never want to find yourself in as an offense, whether you're a coordinator or a quarterback, because nothing's working right now.
Well, no, and given obviously the score of the game right now, you're a one-dimensional football team. That's a terrible spot to be in when you've had a hard time protecting Casey Thompson. He's already taken a beating so far today. And look, coming into it, I really thought I had high hopes for what he'd be able to do in this game, considering the fact that he had a lot of success versus Oklahoma last year, at Texas, but different story in this game.
So Thompson gives it to Grant on the left side. Nice little run there. And again, the swarming defense picks up 6. And this defense continues to play well. So here we are, third quarter, 13 minutes left. Oklahoma forming this new identity under Brent Venables, and you get the sense that it's starting on this defensive side and the way that they play so aggressively up front. Production tackles. There's again a tackle right at the line of scrimmage. Grant goes for no gain. Brady, I've been so impressed with the way they've attacked up front. You know, the calls, yes, from the coordinator, 8 tackles for loss, 4 sacks, a takeaway. They've just been flying around. Thompson behind his receiver and a big hit. That was Vokalek, the intended receiver, and he got hit hard and went head over heels there on 3rd down, and Nebraska will have to punt. There's the hit coming in from the edge. That was number 4, Jaden Davis, the senior from Fort Lauderdale.
Yeah, they had that one sniffed out. I mean, even if Vokalek would have caught that, there really wasn't anywhere to go.
3rd 3 and out for Nebraska, and another punt on what has, ever since that first series for the Cornhuskers, been pretty lifeless on offense. Mims back to receive. He'll let it hit the turf, and it'll be downed at about the 38. We'll take a break. When we come back, Dylan Gabriel and the Sooners back in action. Well, college football over the last few years was being run by a few programs. Clemson, Oklahoma, Ohio State running the ACC, Big 12 and Big 10. And last year, it was all flipped on its head. Pitt, Baylor, and Michigan won those conferences. We'll see where it goes this year, because I can tell you, all 3 of those big boys, they feel like they're back, don't they?
Yeah, it feels like we may see history repeat itself from a couple years ago.
Gabriel back out there. There is Marcus Major. Nice run. And again, over that left side, Brady, that left side of the offensive line doing work.
Just dominating up front so far. That's been the name of the game so far. I mean, look, Nebraska last year in this matchup came out and matched Oklahoma's physicality, but it's just not been the case today.
And again, Major. Jump cut. He'll pick up about 3. So here's this new look OU offense, and I was wondering what they would be under Jeff Levy. And it's certainly, as you can see right here, this is a great example, folks. See how spread out they are? You got a wide receiver all the way up there. You got a wide receiver all the way down below the numbers, and then they run the ball. Right. This is where he learned this from that Baylor run game.
That's right.
He was associated with spread run, but then now he's incorporated the new edge RPOs.
That's
and
right.
then that downfield passing game from really, I would say, Lane Kiffin and Ole Miss.
And it's based on 2 things. It's based on the box count and then some of those defender reads, meaning they're going to count the guys in the box. If they can block them, more often than not, they're going to hand the football off because of the spacing. That defender, the ex-defender just can't get there. And then if they're reading the defender, if he triggers to play the run, they're going to throw right in behind him.
That's right. And it's been tough to stop for this Nebraska defense, which has not played well so far this season. And here's Gabriel again, back to pass. All the time in the world. He'll have to run it, though. Good coverage down the field. And finally, Devin Drew gets in there. A transfer from Texas Tech. Able to come in, senior, 6'2", 280, and get Gabriel to the ground. Finally, in the back end there, good coverage, holding up. Gabriel had to hold the ball.
Nowhere to go with the football on that one.
All right, 2nd and 13 from the 41. Gabriel, RPO, on the money. There's Weiss, great cut. And he'll take it down to the 10-yard line. There's that RPO, Brady, and Gabriel does a great job. You can just sense no panic in there for a nice completion for 31 yards.
But to me, how decisive is he, too? I mean, when he sees it, he likes it, he pulls the trigger, and he gets the ball out in front of the receiver, allows them for the catch and run and getting yards after the catch. That allows them to make the move in space, too. That's what makes these Oklahoma wide receivers so dangerous.
Here's that freshman wide receiver I was talking about earlier in the game. That's Jaden Gibson, number 1, a guy they're really high on. All the time in the world, and Gabriel will have to throw it out of the back of the end zone. Flag on the field here on the near side.
It's the new slow RPO. You see that a lot in Wake Forest.
Saw Stanford unveil that last week.
It's been more popular, especially down in the red zone.
Wake Forest obviously used it so well last year.
You always worry about
Ineligible player downfield.
Yeah, just that.
Offense number 60. 5-yard penalty. It's still first down.
You know, we've seen that a couple of times, and each of the times, like you were talking about, Gabriel having to pump. And you see these offensive linemen, they really shouldn't have been downfield because, look, they're actually just sitting there. But you see 60?
Yeah.
That's Tyler Guyton. He's a transfer from TCU, those couple of steps, and he gets past that 3-yard barrier.
Well, that's where it is an RPO, right? It's a run. They're blocking a run, and now it's on you as a quarterback to get the football out before they get past 3 yards downfield.
Look at all the space at the top of your screen right there. They fake the pitch that way. Then it's a seam route. Gray can't cover it. Good defense there by Henrich, 42.
You know, he had Eric Gray quick out of the backfield, but then the Nebraska secondary and defense kind of rallied to him. They saw this little seam route they were trying to hit him on. And Gabriel got back to him too late.
Tried to fake the pitch to that side, and then they were trying
there.
But he couldn't split him, like you were saying.
Yeah.
Good defense. Second and goal from the 15. Here's Major, cuts back. Good defense. No gain. O'Shawn Mathis, the transfer from TCU. Lots of transfers in this ball game. Mathis, a guy that played really well at TCU, hasn't really, I guess, played to expectations here in Lincoln so far.
Oh, and that was one of my concerns, too, coming into this game. And you get the head coach who's fired. And now you've got a group of guys who didn't necessarily sign here originally. They come here to play. You know, what's that going to look like when adversity strikes? Are they going to rally together?
Ninth play of the drive. Gabriel to the end zone. Caught. Touchdown, Sooners. Theo Weiss wrestles it away. And that ball was thrown in a shoebox. Good coverage. Gabriel on the money, on time, and Weiss with the touchdown.
I mean, this ball could be put anywhere else. Take a look at just the window he's got to throw in right there before the safety gets there, but just enough in front of the cornerback for Weiss to make the catch.
Newsome trying to cover number 6, just a hair late, and another touchdown for Oklahoma, and this offense is rolling, folks. Still the middle of the third, up and good, and it's 49 for the Sooners. Third straight drive with a touchdown. Brent Venables has something brewing, folks, in Norman.
Big Noon Saturday is sponsored by Cervezas Dos Equis. Get a dose. Please drink responsibly. And by Jersey Mike's Subs. Be a sub above.
For a chance to win $100,000 of Terry Bradshaw's money, download the free-to-play Fox Bet Super 6 app now and pick 6 outcomes for the NFL Sunday Challenge. Fox Bet Super 6 has given away over $6.5 million in cash prizes to date, and there are guaranteed winners every week. OU up 49-7. Let's go downstairs. Jenny?
Well, Oklahoma linebacker Danny Stutzman quickly becoming a fan favorite. The fans can't get enough of the guy, and I caught up with him this week, and he reminded me I committed to Oklahoma without even seeing it. I just had a good feeling about it, and I said, what do we need to know about you? And he said, you know what? I need to give my mom, Susie, some love. There she is watching right now. He said, everyone knows about my dad, Steve. He played football at Baylor, but it's my mom who was a basketball player at Baylor. There's a story that she made 85 free throws in a row. I get my athleticism from her, and it's time she gets some of that credit.
Well, Stutzman in that defense has been outstanding, and he's a guy that they're very high on. Meanwhile, on the other side, new quarterback for the Huskers, Brady, it's going to be Logan Smothers, sophomore from Alabama high school. He had 2,000 passing yards, 27 touchdowns, 800 rush yards, so a guy that I'm high on. This is Purdy. Actually, I'm sorry. That's number 6. This is Purdy. Brock Purdy's brother. Chubba Purdy is in the ballgame from Queen Creek, Arizona. Number 6. Thought that was a number 8. So, and there's a shaken up player. That's Ajay Allen, freshman from Monroe, Louisiana. And just to finish up on what Jenny said, Stutzman is a guy that they think is perfect for this style of defense because he's so active at the second level.
Yeah.
And we've seen that time and time again really cause problems for Nebraska.
And that's really what you're required to do in Brent Venables' defense. You got to be kind of multiple. He's going to ask you to do a bunch of different things, I think, as they get more solidified in what they want to do defensively.
So Nebraska, as Allen exits, will have third and short.
It's good to see. Allen's really provided them a spark.
Yep.
Grant hasn't been in there.
Yep.
Bright future for that young man.
Grant had 3 straight 100-yard games, but OU's bottled them up.
Yeah.
That defensive line that you've been talking about, and it cannot be easy for these Nebraska players on a week like this with their head coach Scott Frost being let go. Still 9 games left in the season. I mean, I can't imagine being in the position that they are as players. Nebraska 2 of 10 on third down today. Now 3 of 11. Ball out.
And that, unfortunately, has been really the story of this game. It seems like whenever Nebraska gets a little bit of something going, so they were able to get that football back. So we'll take another look.
Wrestling for extra yardage. That's Isaiah Garcia Castaneda. And it looked like that ball was out to me.
Yeah.
Boy, this defense just attacking.
Yeah, but Nebraska did fall on it, so the event of the review, I think, already. But, wise decision there by Purdy. Those are the little things you're looking for with a young quarterback. He gets in. Oklahoma brings the pressure. He identifies it, gets the ball out to the right guy. Unfortunately, a fumble, which then negates the actual gain for the first down.
Yeah, and Purdy's a guy, I was always so impressed with his brother at Iowa State. And he was part of that excellent run that Matt Campbell had, as OU now is going to take a timeout as they wanted to talk things over here on the 4th and 1.
Called their first timeout of the half.
Well, you know what happens here. Get some backups going on the special teams. They get the communication right, get them lined up right.
Well, at this point, Brent Venables is just looking for things that he can coach for. 49-7 Sooners as Venables next on Fox. Nebraska punts it away. Mims back to receive. Takes it. Good move there. Takes it out to about the 24-yard line. All right, another guest in the booth here as Brady Quinn joins me, and now Urban Meyer. And just so everyone knows, look, scoot over, guys. See, we're shooting the booth right now. See, they're standing on a platform, so it's not like I'm this short over here.
Well, you are shorter.
Okay, there we go. Coach, what's going on, man? It's good to see you.
I misfired on this one. I thought Nebraska, just the crowd, the energy.
You were looking for
Reggie
the energy, weren't you?
Oh, the crowd was unbelievable.
You and Reggie, you were captivated by the energy of the Cornhusker faithful.
I'm not sure they're going to let him leave the state of Nebraska.
No, we might need to sneak you out at this point. Oh, my goodness. All right, new quarterback now for OU as well. And another good run around the edge. I'm interested, Coach, and you've got great perspective on this. Brent Venables now his first opportunity to be a head coach. You inevitably, in that position, would fall back on your mentors, how you cut your teeth. And this guy's got 3 of the best. Bill Snyder, Bob Stoops, Dabo Sweeney. That's how Brent Venables cut his teeth in another big run here. My goodness, OU just absolutely getting after it. But how about those mentors for Brent Venables?
Yeah, it'd be hard to top that when you start thinking about national championship pedigree, but also great recruiters in his own way. Bill Snyder might be the godfather as a program builder. Great recruiter, different way of going about his business, and we all know about Coach Stoops. And that's one thing about the Oklahoma infrastructure, which, by the way, Joe, I think is the most underrated thing in college, and really in any organization. He has an infrastructure that's been time-tested. It's now the 3rd coach through it, and I think, obviously, he's done a heck of a job getting his team ready today.
That is Javante Barnes, a freshman from Vegas. New quarterback is Davis Bevel, transfer from Pitt. By the way, that's where Mark Whipple was at last year. He's the coordinator on the other side of the field for Nebraska. But you talk about infrastructure, and we've seen it now a couple of times where, let's face it, legends of the games have left their next coach in such a good spot. It happened with Bob Stoops and Lincoln Riley. Coach, you did it for Ryan Day at Ohio State. But now Bob even stepped back in the gap and really solidified this program after Lincoln left during that bowl period, continued to recruit. So when Brent stepped in here, this thing was ready to go when he stepped on campus.
Well, imagine Joel and Brady getting hired, and you spend your time putting together an academic staff, a strength staff, putting together your nutrition, your trainer staff. The amount of time that takes to put that together. Instead of that, you know what he did? He went out and recruited.
Yeah.
And you can see this is a really, really good team. I think Brady hit it right on. I think they were hyped. You know, they didn't show much.
No.
You watch the first 2 games. No. I bet all training camp they circled this game and said they're lucky they got out of the other ones, but they're much more talented. But this is a different looking team than the first 2 games on tape.
As an analyst, this will be a fun one to go back and watch because you see them offensively do a lot more. First couple games, very vanilla versus UTEP and Kent State. Now we get to see the double moves. We get to see the little intricate things that Jeff Levy has put in this offense for Oklahoma as they start to bring some of that out. And once they get into the Big 12 schedule, I'm sure we'll see more.
And here's what I've loved is that when Nebraska is sat like they are right now, see these 2 safeties deep, they're running the football. Now, they're going to run the ball because of the style of the game. Great broken tackle there. Barnes showing some power, 6 foot, 200 pounds.
And one thing Nebraska's doing, Joel, is they're not disguising it at all.
That's right.
They're sitting there showing us 2 high structure and sitting there, and you're going to get the ball ran down your throat.
Let me ask you this, though. That might be the case, but you're not winning those one-on-one battles anyway. I mean, I would almost say at times, they're not keeping their gap integrity on defense. We saw that last week versus Georgia Southern. There's got to be a part of you that's just concerned about if they know how to get lined up and be where they're supposed to be, right?
That's part of it. It's a scary subject for the next 9 weeks.
Little pitch.
That's holding.
It's got to be holding. There's a hold. There's the flag. The coach comes out. See, you guys see it all the time. You're just screaming, holding every snap. Holding.
Ready to start yelling at the official there.
That's exactly right. You got to love it.
He's got those eyes on the perimeter. He's waiting for it.
Turn the run. Holding. Offense. Number 13. 10-yard penalty from the previous spot. Still first down.
Coach, let me ask you this. When you have a wide receiver that gets in that position, what do you tell him to do? Because obviously the defender's trying to set the edge, but as an offensive player, trying to drive them, how do you avoid that?
Yeah, accelerate your feet on contact. And, it's a clock for the receiver. If that guy's still fighting you after 3 seconds, the ball carrier is right behind you. Accelerate your feet and let go. After 3 seconds, that ball carrier is right behind you.
Got a full-fledged coaching clinic getting broken out right here in the booth. You got to love it. Bevel here. First down and forever. From the 25, ball on the ground. Nebraska's got it. Mistimed snap in motion. Gavin Freeman, 82, was coming across. Bevel puts it on the turf, and the Cornhuskers get the ball. There is Garrett Nelson, Jr. from Scottsbluff, Nebraska, a guy that has taken this whole coaching change very hard. And here's that ball handling I was telling you, I just never had it. That's the quarterback's responsibility, guys. I always say, any ball handling miscue,
right.
QB, he's the one that's got to be sure of it.
It starts with a bad snap, though, right? Because this is a timing element, right? Once you have the motion coming across, if you get a bad snap, you have a hard time getting that first. It's going to be hard for you to then time up the handoff with the wide receiver who's not accustomed to doing it anyway.
All right, so Nebraska now with the ball. Purdy in the pocket all the time in the world to throw. Had a man deep, didn't hit him. That was Palmer. Now he's going to run around. And here's Purdy. Good move on the sideline. And how about a first down from Purdy?
So, Coach, tell me this. You got a young quarterback in there in a game like this. What are you looking for out of Purdy here?
I think you're looking for really not just the quarterback. I bet that coach is walking up and down the sideline just finding out who's still in the game, who's competing. This is a long season. You can't tell me there's not a good enough a number of good enough players on Nebraska to win a few ball games this year.
Well, I mean, shoot, guys, they've been in one-possession games, dating back to the beginning of time, it feels like. That's the way it's felt. So they've got good players. Good run here. High stepping. That's Gabe Irvin. So good to see Gabe Irvin back on the field. Folks, last year, Cornhusker fans, you'll remember this. Gabe Irvin was a true freshman and really broke on the scene early in the season, guys. And it was this game a year ago that he had a really devastating knee injury, and he's worked himself back and now back on the field, and he shows some pop right there. Electric run there from Irvin. Purdy Left side, Palmer outside the numbers, and it's a first down for the Cornhuskers. Coach, you talked about your pace in the sideline right now, and that's going to be Mickey Joseph, and he's going to have to figure out, and this, by the way, goes in every area. You talk about infrastructure. He's going to have to find out what coaches are going to be engaged on a day-in and day-out basis and what players are going to give him maximum effort every single day.
I can't imagine a more difficult time, too, with all the transfer portal opportunities and everything. So, you know, here's a crowd. This used to be the Alabama. You know, you go back when I was growing up?
Oh, yeah.
This was it.
100%.
This was the 90s. This was it. Well, you lived it up there in Colorado. This was it. And you got all the former players. You got a proud fan base. Who's got the fight in them? Who's going to swing for the next 9 games?
That's why I'm thrilled that they've changed the transfer portal and created windows.
Yeah.
You know, in a situation like this, you could see a mass exodus. There's Irvin again. Nice run up the middle.
Well, beyond that, you know, you're talking about young people. You know, 18, 22, 23 years old, heck, 24 in some cases with that COVID year now. But they can sometimes make emotional decisions if you just allow them to jump into the portal at any point in time, instead of thinking about it more, talking with those people who are influential in your life to then decide what you want to do. But I'm right there with you, Joel. I was glad to see them institute a couple windows there.
All right, so Nebraska, another third down here. OU mostly backups in, and Irvin will get the carry. Another good hole, another good run. Won't quite get there.
You know, Joel, you talk about, and Coach Saban, Nick Saban talks about it quite often, the rat poison when you're winning. It's right there when you're losing, too. These players are going to be, their phones will be full by the time they get home.
You know what's, at least this has been my experience, as Nebraska will stay on the field on a fourth down. When you're successful, you're trying to keep the outside noise away from your team. But generally, when things go wrong like this, it can be internal.
Yeah.
You know, you got to be careful as a player which voices you're listening to in the locker room. As they'll go for it on fourth, and again, smothering defense for OU. And it'll be OU ball as Purdy comes up a yard short.
And the OU defense was anticipating this.
Yep. Chubba Purdy transferred in from Florida State, younger brother of Brock Purdy. Played 4 games in 2 years at Florida State before coming in. And Mark Whipple, they're trying to talk with him. And, hey, that guy's giving us the funds.
He's dressed like it's almost Christmas time. A long way to go there.
Cornhusker fans hope that it's Christmas soon. That last series for OU, by the way, that was the first turnover of the year for OU's offense. So that first unit hasn't turned the ball over, playing super clean. And that's going to take us to the end of the third quarter. Oklahoma, folks, watch out. They're reloaded 49-7 into third in Lincoln. Big Noon Saturday is sponsored by AT&T Business. 49-7 Oklahoma over Nebraska. Start of the fourth here from Lincoln. If you're just joining us, folks, Gus is just a little under the weather. Stepped aside here for the second half, so I'm in the booth up here with Urban Meyer, Brady Quinn, Jenny Taft on the sideline. We will take you the rest of the way as OU is putting it on the Cornhuskers in a major way. Bevel in at quarterback. QB draw. Nice run. First down Sooners. Coach, it's interesting because in these situations, it's not just the players that are dealing with this coaching change, but it's also the staff that Mickey Joseph is going to have to manage over there for Nebraska, and that's really difficult. Those are grown men with families that have worries about where they're going to be next year.
Yeah, the term self-preservation comes to mind when you start thinking about this. You're right, it's not the players, but you know, everybody's got families to take care of. Their future is completely unknown. I relate it back to when I was at Notre Dame and Lou Holtz retired. And we had no idea what the future held. And I mean, it's human nature, plus it's your responsibility to take care of your family. What's next?
Well, I think we can all say that it worked out pretty well for you after that. So on the Bowling Green. And
we've got Chris Murray down on the field right now for Oklahoma.
So Murray, guys, he transferred in before last year, and from UCLA. He's from Palmdale out in California. Played his high school ball at
Mater Dei?
Mater Dei.
I think there's someone in our crew who might know that, huh?
I'm sure he's hitting his chest downstairs.
Oh, yeah.
Not something, but Murray has played really well, and this is what you don't want to see. And Coach, you specifically know, like, when you're up in a game like this, Brent Venables has got to be thinking to himself, okay, like, we need to start subbing out some of our guys, in particular up front, because that offensive line looks nasty moving forward.
And you want to keep everything going north-south, so we would run nothing but zone plays and snap the ball with 2 seconds. Zone plays usually north to south run, less chance of any type of injury, just like this play. Our inside zone, notice everybody's staying up for the most part. Gap schemes, when you're blocking down on people, that's when linemen start getting wiped out. You don't want to do that.
That'll bring up 3rd down as Barnes ran for about a yard.
And there you see Jake Taylor, the freshman, and Bishop Gorman in Las Vegas, stepping in for Chris Murray.
Bevel. Barnes, strong run, 1st down, Sooners.
Good physical running by Barnes there.
No doubt. You know, and I got to tell you guys, talking with the OU staff this week, I mean, the positivity, you know, you just don't normally see it from a new coaching staff. And granted, he's got history there, but he hasn't been there for a decade.
Yeah.
And the buy-in and the team chemistry was as high as I've seen for a new coach in, well, maybe my entire career. Jenny, I know you enjoyed our conversation with the coaches just as much as I did.
Well, and it was so interesting to get their take, but I think, Joel, I mean, we all remember how shocked we all were when Lincoln Riley makes a decision, goes to USC. I mean, these were players that were really struggling at the time because they didn't understand, and there was that uncertainty. But I want to go back to that conversation I had with Danny Stutzman, because he said it was a team that was stressed because we didn't know our future. But the moment Coach Venables was named our head coach, we knew we were in good hands. It was an unspoken total buy-in when we heard his name. He loves us. He appreciates us. He expects 150% from us. And it didn't take long for them to buy in. And we're just seeing that on display in every way.
No doubt. Buy-in. They feel like they have gotten stronger. Their strength program was as good as they felt like they've had in a long time in the offseason. And I got to tell you guys, I thought I saw that come to fruition today up front. The physicality, you know, OU in the last few years has not been as physical as what I've seen here so far today. 8th play of the drive. Bevel on the edge. Complete.
You know, and to that point, Joel, one of the things I think as we go around and we kind of canvas all these different teams in college football and Big 10, Big 12, see some SEC teams, you see that Adonis effect. Oklahoma has that. I mean, those boys look the part. Coach, and you've obviously been around Ohio State and some other big-time programs. I mean, tell me if I'm wrong, but they look like they've got the big boys up front on both sides of the trenches.
Yeah, we stood there on the sideline and watched it once again. Reggie and I picked Nebraska, and it's there's a big difference between the two.
I'm not laughing at you. I'm just
two programs right now. You know what? I want to say this, Joel, too. Don't devalue the presence of Bob Stoops.
That's right. That's exactly.
You start talking about a transition, Bob Stoops had a big part to do with that.
Well, that transition has paid serious dividends. Sooners big in Lincoln.
Big Noon Saturday is sponsored by Pacific Life, creating financial security for more than 150 years. And by Wendy's Pretzel Bacon Pub Cheeseburger. It's back.
Welcome back. Oklahoma up big, 49-7 over Nebraska. And that guy's not happy. Or maybe he is. I'm not sure. He's still here, though.
He is still here.
He's still here as the Cornhuskers back on offense. Chuba Purdy in at quarterback. Right side. Jaquez Yant, sophomore from Tallahassee, Florida. He picks up about 6.
Talk about that fan base, Joel. We talked about it before the game. Just the resilience of this fan base. You know, what they've endured, the heartaches, the one-score losses. I mean, they show up and they show out. This is a special place. You know, whether it's.
I mean, look at the sellout streak. You know, 385 consecutive sellouts, which is a record. They are as loyal and as good of a fan base as you'll find in the entire sport.
They're probably being tested like
Never before.
any other time in the history of this program.
Well, I mean,
is that a safe thing to say?
100%. Think about this. Tom Osborne, yes, he was great, and everyone's thinking like, oh, the 90s never. He never won less than 9 games ever in his entire career. Like, that's what these people, you know, Bob Devaney, these people have seen some of the heights of college football. This matchup has seen the heights of college football. Early 70s, 71, 72. These two teams duking it out for a national title back in the old Big 8. And, you know, it's certainly being tested now. They aren't sold out, by the way, for a few games down the line. So there's some consternation around here about whether they can continue this sellout streak.
Well, the question that keeps surfacing when you talk about Nebraska, and Arkansas is having a great year, but when I was young, that corridor of football in the Big 8, Big 12, Southwest Conference was strong. You're talking about Heisman Trophy winners, national championships, honor, you know, Hall of Fame coaches. Think about Texas, Texas A&M, Oklahoma, Arkansas, and Nebraska. Those were great games to watch. A lot of them ran the wishbone.
I know you were almost there. You were almost there with Colorado.
McCartney.
It was right there, tip of your tongue.
Tip of his tongue,
1990 national champion.
There we go. There you go. That's exactly right. But you just look at the names on this building. You know, they've got 20 college Hall of Famers that played here. College football Hall of Famers, which, you know, is again. And now Trev Alberts, he'll be charged with trying to rebuild this as the athletic director. And he told me, I had a long conversation with him this week, guys. And he told me, he said his main goal is to build a program and find a coach that this fan base will be proud of. Deep down the field, OU again, over, under, great coverage, picked off. Key Lawrence, transfer from Tennessee, comes up with the ball, and the Sooners again making plays on defense. Been a long day for the Cornhuskers, folks. The Sooners all over them. This team looks like they could be headed back to a playoff.
Big Noon Saturday is sponsored by State Farm. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Tomorrow, Tom Brady and the Bucs head to New Orleans for an NFC South showdown with the Saints or other regional action. Check your local listings for the game in your area only on Fox and the Fox Sports app. Brady, nice win over the Cowboys in Week 1. And how about Jameis? Fourth quarter. Yeah, how about that?
200 yards passing. It's pretty ridiculous last week. Brady's never beaten Saints, has he, outside of the playoffs? Yeah.
Well, with Tampa.
With Tampa, correct. Regular season.
Yeah.
It's been a struggle for him.
One of the few teams.
One of the few things in his entire life that's been a struggle.
Yeah, it has not been a struggle here for OU. And, you know, they have over 300 yards on the ground. And granted, this second half has been a lot of this guys just giving the ball to their young backs. But, you know, this culture, this mentality, what they're trying to build, Coach, you know, you achieve what you emphasize in this sport as a coach. And Brent Venables has been around the best. He was with Stoops. He was with Dabo Sweeney. He's been the coordinator in 8 of the last 22 national championship games. You know, so he's been to the mountaintop. And he said to us this week, and I thought this was, you know, a great line, really. He said, you know, Joel, they don't put championship rings on smooth hands.
Wow.
And I was like, I love it.
Strong.
I immediately wrote it down, and I was like, I'm stealing that. And he's right. You know, you've won championships. You've done it at every stop that you've been at, Coach. It's hard. It's hard work. And Brent Venables is in for the hard work.
Yeah, and I used to, you know, when you get around whether it be a new coach or incoming players, you count on your veterans to help you with that. And when you have great veterans in your organization, they help sell that point. I mean, the championships are miserable to get to that point. There's no other way.
It's another great line.
It is absolutely miserable. It's hard work. It's pain. It's tears.
You know what?
And how do you get the muscle to grow? You tear it apart.
I can attest to that because We covered you on some of those championship years, and you were miserable.
Yeah, you didn't seem happy.
There were so, all loving. I mean, in a loving way, Coach.
At the end, you're very happy.
That's right. We'll be right back.
Pacific Life Game Summary is sponsored by Pacific Life, creating financial security for more than 150 years. And Dylan Gabriel, he has been efficient through the airs, utilized his legs with a 61-yard scamper for a touchdown. How about Eric Gray? This OU offense, over 300 yards rushing today in the defense, swarming Casey Thompson. Tackles for loss, penetration in the backfield. It's been a dominant performance, guys.
They've had 9 tackles for loss. Brady, they've had 9 rushes of over 10 yards. So, again, it's not just one side of the ball that has been able to be dominant so far today. As we tick down towards 8 minutes to go here in the fourth quarter. Balanced attack so far, and it has been all year. And the Sooners team looking to get back where they have been.
You talked about that balanced attack. I talked to a great coach one time. He always said he used to look up at the scoreboard, said 250 yards rushing, 250 yards passing. Joel, can you guess who told me that?
Was it Coach Meyer?
It was.
Yeah,
it was.
I remember those conversations.
That was in the early years when he jumped on with us at Big Noon and talked a lot about that balance, Coach.
In the month of November, you better be able to run that football. When you start getting to championship time and conference championship time, and you better be able to stop the run.
Oh, free rusher again, and he steps away. Purdy does a great job, finds a receiver down the field. That's Oliver Martin. What an amazing play from Purdy. Again, a free rusher. That was Jaron Kanek, the freshman that they're so high on. Purdy escapes out of the pocket on the outside, an 18-yard completion to Oliver Martin.
And you start mixing in some backups. And some of those pressure looks can give some guys issues with the communication once they get in there.
There's no doubt.
Well done by Purdy.
This team, they've been to the playoff, right? They've won the Big 12. Gosh, they've owned the Big 12. But folks, and guys, there seemed to be a ceiling with the way they played defense. In the last since Coach BCS started, late 90s, there's only a couple of teams that have won national championships without a top 25 defense.
LSU is the last one.
LSU is the last one, and I believe the Cam Newton Auburn team had like a 28, 30, something like that defense. Other than that, you better play defense, and Oklahoma has been woefully short of that in those playoff appearances. And it came back to haunt them.
And we've talked about this on the show, too. I mean, you talk about development and getting guys to the NFL, recruiting guys who've got that sort of talent and ability. And that's been something that's been lacking, not just at Oklahoma, but really the Big 12, Coach. That's been something that I think has been a little bit missing once they've gotten to the college football playoff, is you've had to go up against those more talented teams.
Well, great conversations. When you say play great defense, that's a team thing. That's how you manage a game. That's taking care of the ball. That's at times maybe not going tempo and slowing things down if you're struggling or one of your top players are out. And so the offensive coordinator has an obligation to do what? Play great defense. The quarterback coach, play great defense. Take care of the ball. Don't put your defense in bad field position. That's a team thing, not just everybody wants to jump all over the defense. That's a team thing.
That was Irvin with another really nice run, number 22 for Nebraska. And Nebraska crosses over now at the 40-yard line. First down, Purdy down the middle of the field, almost picked off. And that was Key Lawrence again with his hands on the football.
He had eyes on Purdy the entire way there. As A.J. Rollins, the tight end, was working up the middle of the field. He was open for a split second. Purdy just a tad bit late. Just an interception.
Brady, let's talk big picture about Nebraska and just the history of this great game, this great program here. Every school, when you look back, I think about Steve Spurrier of Florida, the fun and gun offense. Everyone has their little niche. The niche of Nebraska football in the day was player development. And like we talked about in the show, 1969 was the first strength coach ever hired in college football history. From that point forward, what was Nebraska known for? Running the football, controlling the line of scrimmage, and just these monster offensive linemen, defensive linemen that won Outland trophies and Heisman trophies and national championships. Nebraska, I think, has to go back to that. It has to be player development at the highest level.
And that's one thing that they were for a long time, not just in 1969. There's Irvin again, nice run, but at the forefront. They were at the cutting edge. Husker power, that weight room. I mean, they were ahead of people for 20 years, 30 years.
Strength, nutrition, the way they trained, everything.
And now everybody is caught up. And that's one of the things that Trev Alberts talked to me about is getting back to that developmental program, where they can take 3 stars and make them play like 5 stars, and they feel like they can do that here.
And you think about in recent history, I would put Mark D'Antonio, I would put the Wisconsin coaching staff, and then the guy that we all have great respect for, Kyle Whittingham, in that category. They're developers, they're program and player development people.
Yep. It's certainly how this side of the division has been won in the Big Ten. That Big Ten West has been won with line of scrimmage, ball control, complementary football, whether it's been Iowa winning or Wisconsin winning. Heck, guys, Pat Fitzgerald is a developmental guy, and he's done a great job at Northwestern, and that's what people around this program hope that they can become here moving forward. Pitch and catch on the outside. Good broken tackle. Brody Belt, junior from Omaha.
The 2 years prior to Boyd Ebley getting hired in 1969, they won 6 games. From the point after, they won for 33 straight years, 9+ wins. Think about the development and the change of philosophy there about strength training.
I think that's what you're looking for in the next head coach, though, is what's that niche? What are they going to find to differentiate from everything else in college football and try to find that niche and recruit to that and develop to that? And that's the tough question that Trev Albert is going to have to answer.
Yeah. I'll tell you, okay, so if I'm just looking at this, if I turn on this tape and I'm a coach, there's some guys that have popped from Nebraska in the second half. 22 is one of them, Gabe Irvin.
Yep.
I touched on him earlier after that injury last year. He's run the ball really well in the last few series. This is the 13th play of the drive so far for the Cornhuskers. Purdy keeps it on the right side of the pylon, and he's in. Touchdown, Nebraska.
And that's the sort of thing as a young player that you're looking for, right, Coach? Building some of that momentum as a young quarterback, getting some of these real live reps.
This is all victories before a big victory. That's a small victory.
Yep.
Purdy dives for that pylon. He's able to just get inside, beating C.J. Colden to the edge, and Nebraska is able to go down and score. That is their first points since the opening drive of the game.
And boy, did that drive leave you feeling like this game was going to go a whole lot different.
Yeah. First 2 drives, because the defense got to stop
initially, and then it was right down the field.
Crowd was amazing early in this game. They were so good that Coach and Reggie picked Nebraska to win. Man, we've hit you on that a few times. I'm sorry.
Well, admittedly, you said it. Yeah, that's true, Coach.
That's true. Huskers drive it down. Put it in the end zone. 49-14. Welcome back to Big Noon Saturday. Nebraska is able to get some points. First points since the first series of the game. OU still up 49-14. This will go into the end zone for a touchback. Next week, Big Noon Kickoff travels to Ann Arbor, where the defending Big Ten champs will take on Maryland. The number 4 Wolverines will be looking to make a statement in their first Big Ten game of the season. Gus, Ginny, and I will be joined by Rob, Brady, Reggie, Matt, and Coach. It all starts on Big Noon Kickoff, 10 a.m. Eastern on Fox. That's what those quarterbacks have been doing this year, guys. And, hey, Cade played great last year, but J.J. McCarthy has been outstanding. 4 incompletions on the season. And cue up Coach Myers saying, that schedule's been terrible, Joel.
Well, here's the reality. The schedule's been terrible.
I got him to smile.
The schedule's been terrible for both those quarterbacks. Obviously, Coach Harbaugh had to make a decision.
Totally.
J.J. McCarthy is the type of player that gives you that extra added element with his ability to run.
Well, and remember now, they've got a bit more of a sports car this year. You know, they're a different style of team this year. They've got a lot of speed, a lot of talent. Blake Corum today, 5 touchdowns in that game. But next week is their first true test. Yeah. Maryland is 2-0. They play SMU later today on FS1. And that's going to be their first real opponent.
The teams they played are certainly overmatched. But when you watch the video, they look fast.
Yeah.
They look long and fast and well coached, especially when you take away the fact that they lost both coordinators. That's right. I was expecting to see something, not what I saw. I was expecting to see a little discombobulation because of 2 new coordinators. I mean, you watch that film once again, you look who they're playing, it's a complete mismatch, but you can tell a well-coached team. Well, and those 2 coordinators have done a really good job.
All that defensive talent they lose. You know, Aiden Hutchinson, David Ajabo, Daxton Hill. I mean, you lose guys who move on the NFL level. And it's like they haven't skipped a beat. Again, haven't been tested yet. Yep. Next week we'll see, but that's been impressive.
How fast are they, Greg? I mean, they look fast on field.
As you would say, Coach, fast. I mean, Roman Wilson might be one of the fastest players in college football.
Well, not only that, but they get Ronnie Bell back. Remember, he got hurt in the first game of last year. They have 2 backs that I think are really good. Corum is excellent, and Donovan Edwards.
He's a home run hitter.
He is fantastic. Their tight ends are good. Their offensive, you know, so this is more of an offensive-oriented team that Michigan will have moving forward this year. This team in front of us, though, OU will be looking ahead now, and if you take a look at what they've got coming up on their schedule, Kansas State on Fox, that'll be September 24th, and TCU, Texas, Kansas, and Iowa State. And that Kansas State team has been a thorn in the side of this OU team, you know, for quite some time. You think about those games, K-State, 2 of the last 3 years, they've beaten them. 4 of the 5 meetings under Lincoln Riley were 1-score games, so that's going to be a tough matchup for the Sooners.
Adrian Martinez, a quarterback who's familiar with you, obviously played against them last year here for Nebraska. He knows that all too well. Deuce Vaughn, there's a tough playmaker to match up with sometimes.
But that being said, that's going to be a very tough task for K-State.
That's correct.
You know, because what we saw today from Oklahoma guys was a complete team, a team totally bought in. They're playing fast. They've got some guys that are, as you said, fast. Their quarterback is smooth, and probably the most impressive point of this game for me, those 2 lines of scrimmage, offensive line, defensive line, totally dominant. So Brent Venables gets the win over Nebraska. This storied rivalry coming back here to Lincoln for the first time since 2009. And the Sooners took care of the Cornhuskers early. Great energy, terrific execution. They were physical. That is a really good football team, folks. And Jenny Taft is with their head coach, Brent Venables.
Well, congratulations, Coach, on this win. It really was such a complete performance, balance all around. So I got to ask, what was the highlight for you today in watching this one?
The highlight? Probably the first half. You know, the way our guys came out in the first half, everything on both sides of the ball. The first drive was a little shaky, but our guys, how they responded. I love the attitude and the hunger in the locker room at halftime and the way we came out in the third quarter and really slammed the door on it. You know, not being satisfied, not being relaxed. I think the hardest time to coach is when you're having success. And so really proud of the maturity and the poise, the determination these guys showed all day.
One of your sayings is, it ain't good enough. I saw you coaching with 2 minutes left. You were still grinding on your guys. What were you being said? How do you nitpick this performance?
Well, again, you know, we've got a lot of young guys in there that we're going to have to count on. We've got to develop our team. And they need to go through it, you know, and some failure along the way is how you get better. And but the standard doesn't change. You know, when they go in, they need to play to a standard. And so we're going to coach the same way.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Well, the Sooners certainly proved a point, and I tell you what, this team is very good. Fellas, last thought?
Yeah, I kind of like what Coach just said there. The standard doesn't change. Kind of gave me chills right now. When you think Oklahoma football, you think of what you just saw there. That was a thorough beating.
I just love the physicality. You know, different from what we've seen in past years with Oklahoma, bringing back that on both sides of the trenches. That's going to bode well not only through Big 12 play, but what could be there for them at the end of the season, match up with some of the best in college football.
Hey, fellas, I appreciate it. Great conversation up here. Folks, Gus is going to be great and ready to go next week. The final score here at Memorial Stadium, Oklahoma 49, Nebraska 14. More from Lincoln right after the break with Rob, Reggie, and Matt downstairs.
If you want to keep up with